Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to The Real Reviews, where I review films by The Real. My name is Josh LeBlanc, and today we will be reviewing Onward.
I'm on my way, boys. Just stay out of trouble.
Before I jump into it, thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I really appreciate your support and just your general interest in my journey as a film reviewer. If you really like this video, go ahead and click the subscribe button if you have not subscribed already, and just like the video. It really means a lot to me. I appreciate that. So Onward is Pixar's latest adventure. It's set in this fantasy world where magic is a long forgotten practice. But like technology has taken over as the mainstream medium for how people achieve daily activities such as going to work, working, eating, entertainment, all that stuff. Basically, it's like commentary on the real world in classic Pixar fashion. And it stars Chris Pratt and Tom Holland as the two elven brothers who are basically on a quest to go resurrect their father from the dead and spend an extra day with him through the use of magic. So my general thoughts on this film is that this is a fun, classic Pixar adventure. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. There's a lot of heart to this film, and it even pulls at a few emotional strings. It doesn't quite reach the heights of some of Pixar's all-time greats, but it definitely surprised me a bit, despite some familiar tropes and films like this and in animation overall. So easily the best part of this film are Tom Holland and Chris Pratt as the lead elven brothers. They are fantastic. They're very likable and relatable, much like their MCU counterparts, Spider-Man and Star-Lord from the Marvel films. And they do a really good job carrying this film. They're super funny, and I loved watching them grow as characters. Their arcs were very satisfying to see out through to the end of the film. I think they do such a good job in this movie that unfortunately it takes away from some of the supporting characters that I also kind of had an interest in, but they never really did anything with them. A lot of the supporting characters in this film, honestly, I feel like they didn't really get enough to do. And that's a shame because there's some interesting quirks about some of these characters, and it always just kind of seemed like the film was trying to figure out a way just to get back to the main set of characters, Tom Holland and Chris Pratt. And while I enjoyed my time with them, you have to have other elements to a film to make it work, and so some of it was a little lackluster there in my opinion. But overall, all the characters are still likable. Everyone, in terms of the voice acting, does a great job, and it does a good job of selling you on this world where it's like, it's like a fantasy world, but it's incorporating modern technology. There's a very similar feeling with this film when you compare it to, say, Shrek, which does a lot of the same things. And I'll talk about that more in a second. So the story of this film is it gets the job done. The premise is very fun, albeit slightly, it's very silly. There's a lot of fantastical elements going on. You just kind of have to go along with some of it. And of course, it's a Pixar film. You're not going to treat it like you would any other normal action adventure drama. In classic Pixar fashion, it teaches a lot of mature, real world lessons. And there are some very interesting and slightly complex themes that are made digestible for people of all, intellects and ages to understand and enjoy. Although, to be fair, it seems like with this film, there's a lot of really great ideas with it, but it seemed like it kind of got pressed down into a bit more of a generic story, which is unfortunate. The premise itself is unique. Let me just clarify. It's very silly and unique. It's just that a lot of the plot threads and the way the story is portrayed, to me, it feels kind of almost like a bit of a cash grabby corporate decision to make the film have this sort of style. And unfortunately, I take issue with that a little bit because Pixar for me is always that's the company, that's the animation studio that pushes the boundaries of animation. And I'm not saying that has gone away with Pixar. I'm very excited for Soul coming out this summer, but I did notice that a bit in this, and despite its interesting story and likable characters, that to me is the biggest flaw in this, and it's what I was worried about coming into the film from the first place. The overall vibe of this just kind of seems like it's taken out of a Shrek movie. Shrek kind of already did this this fantasy fairy tale this like fairy tale-esque story, but then they combined it with like some real world like they combined it with some real world application, and to me, even though they took it in a much more modern approach in this film, some of that was a little jarring. I just kind of kept thinking, I'm looking at a Shrek movie right now, so that was unfortunate. But again, I'd like to reemphasize that I really did like this film. It's surprised me in how much I felt engaged to the characters, where in the marketing, in the trailers, they kind of seemed a little flat to me, but I really did like them. And it's just overall, it's just classic Pixar, you know? You know, they tug you at the heart. They tug you at the heart a little bit at the end. It's not like to the level of Up, where you're bawling in like the first 5 minutes, and I use bawling as, you know, as an exaggeration. But it's not, what I'm trying to say is it doesn't really push you with some sentimental parts. You know, it's there, but it's not like over the top, if you know what I mean. Some other thoughts I have, the animation, as always with Pixar, is excellent. It doesn't reach the boundary-breaking heights that I thought like Toy Story 4 did. Toy Story 4 at many points looked photorealistic, and this doesn't quite hit that for me. I'm not really sure why that is, but for something about it just didn't seem as high quality as Toy Story 4 did, and even Soul coming up. But it's still, all around, the world design, the character design, the animation, the lighting, it's all very beautiful and good to look at. So overall, Onward is a very action-packed adventure thrill ride that never really lets off the gas pedal. It's extremely fun, and the way it handles its characters is very interesting and satisfying. It treads some familiar waters in many cases, but nevertheless, Pixar has once again shown us that they are incredibly talented at creating emotional adventures that have a little bit of something to say, instead of just being some, you know, children's cash grab like some other animation movies have sort of seemed to become lately. Yeah, it's a Pixar film that you really can't go wrong with, and I highly recommend you go see it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for checking out this video. As I said before at the start, if you guys have any like feedback you want to give me, suggestions on how I can make the channel better, please drop a comment down below. I feel like not enough people do that. Seriously, if there's something I can do to make this a more entertaining experience for you, please let me know. I'm very open to some suggestions. That'll be it for this video. I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.